Hello and welcome back to the Grand Prix World Series. My name is Topher Smith and today we are heading to Dijon-Bourgogne in France for the latest round of the Grand Prix World Series. We have raced here in Dijon-Bourgogne before, but today there is a difference as we have a new infield circuit for the drivers to tackle. We're looking forward to getting this one underway to see how they get on with this new configuration. As ever, we will start off with the League 2 race and let's remind ourselves of the drivers and team standings heading into this one. And at the top of the pile, Marcus Ericsson in the Lola on 59 points, 4 ahead of Joseph Newgarden, who took his first win of the season last time out in Rockingham. Mitch Evans third in a Ducati on 49, still within touching distance of Marcus Ericsson's lead. Nick Tandy, not a race winner yet this season, but 2 podiums has elevated him up to 4th in the standings on 45 points. Yeye has won a race this season and is on 38 points, along with Earl Bamber, also on 38 points, still yet to win a race this season, is the Jaguar driver. Julian Anlauer putting together a consistent season and is 7th on 34 points, 2 ahead of Shane van Gisbergen. Jamie Chadwick, our race winner in the season opener, has struggled to score points since then and is 9th on 29 points. And rounding out the top 10, Zane Maloney, who took a brilliant podium last time out in Rockingham, his and Ford's first podium of the season. In the teams, Jaguar's first win last time out elevated them to the top of the standings on 93 points, 5 ahead of Lola in second, Ducati third on 81, and then Cooper Akiro 4th on 60. A bit of a gap forming between those top 3 and the chasing pack. Zach Speed 5th on 50 points, 1 ahead of Lancia in 6th on 49, Ford on 25, 40 Corsa on 23, Mazda on 18, Iron Dames on 11, and then at the bottom of the pile, Pacific on 6, Chip Ganassi also on 6, and Toyota rounds out the group on 5 points. Just a handful of driver changes to bring you for today's League 2 race. And let's start off with the Toyota team, where Zhou Guanyu has been dropped down to the reserve driver role due to underperformance. The team manager, Michael Gillespie, not really happy with the results, or rather lack of results, that Zhou Guanyu has been putting in. So Mike Gillespie taking a chance on Arvid Lindblad in the race seat, and we'll keep an eye on him to see how he gets on today. Over at Mazda, Nick Cassidy has returned to a race seat. He contested for victories last season and was taken on a reserve role for this season. He now replaces Rotama Miata at the team, and the team manager, David Yunt, feels as though Rotama Miata has been trying too hard and trying to force results. So he's resting him for this race at least to calm him down and giving Nick Cassidy a go back in the race seats once again. And over at Iron Dames, there's a bit of a switcheroo for Jake Sanson's team. Dorian Pan finishing 5th last time out on her debut, a really impressive performance. And Jake Sanson has elected to put her into the seats for the rest of the season, but this time in place of Jessica Hawkins. Hawkins had an absolutely awful home race last time out in Rockingham. While Miki Koyama returns to her race seat, Jess Hawkins has now been dropped down to the reserve driver role. Jake Sanson also saying that her role in losing Nick Tandy the win in Rockingham also played a part in his decision to put Dorian Pan into the car in her place. So with the driver changes out of the way, let's take a look at the grid before we get this one underway. And here in Dijon-Bourgogne, it is a 1-2 on the grid for the Lola team. Jamie Chadwick on pole once again, 0.2 of a second ahead of teammate Marcus Ericsson. It was a brilliant qualifying performance for Jamie Chadwick. Mitch Evans and Shane van Gisbergen make it an all Ducati second row. Little bit off the pace of the Lolas in front of them, but they'll be looking to make up for that in the race. Earl Bamber 5th in the Jaguar ahead of the Lanciers of Roman De Angelis and Yeye. Julian Anlauer continuing his strong season in 8th. Joseph Newgarden, a winner last time out, 9th on the grid here today, while Sho Suboy rounds out the top 10 in the Mazda. Colton Herta lines up 11th for Chip Ganassi ahead of Nick Tandy in the Cooper Akiro. Felipe Drugovich 13th in the Ford ahead of Paul Aron, exactly 1 second behind the benchmark of Jamie Chadwick. Dorian Pan 15th on the grid in the Iron Dames ahead of Sergio Sette Camara. Nick Cassidy on his return will line up 17th ahead of Jodian Palmer, Zane Maloney and Louis Delatraz rounding out the top 20 there. And at the back, Nick De Vries, Kyle Kirkwood, Kamui Kobayashi, Arvid Lindblad for his debut will start 24th ahead of reigning champion Callum Ilott, and Mika Koyama on her return lines up 26th and last. Well, that is your grid for today's Dijon-Bourgogne Grand Prix. Will Lola convert their 1-2 on the grid into a 1-2 in the race? Well, let's waste no more time and get down to trackside to find out. Ready and waiting in the commentary box, as always, is Tom Cairns. So, Tom, take it away.
Jamie Chadwick on pole for the third time this season. She's failed to finish in the last 4. She could do with some redemption here today with Marcus Ericsson, her teammate, alongside. The fire lights are coming on now. Lights are on. Lights off. It's go in Dijon-Bourgogne. Jamie Chadwick getting off to a superstar ahead of her teammate. But watch out for Mitch Evans in the Ducati alongside the Lola. And he's got through into second place. Mitch Evans through ahead of Marcus Ericsson. So Chadwick leads. Evans is second. It's Marcus Ericsson in third place. Shane van Gisbergen in the second. Ducati's in fourth. Then it's the Jaguar of El Bamba in fifth, followed by Julian Anlo of Sax Speed in sixth place. Show Boy, Joseph Newgarden, Roman DeAngelis and Colton Herzer are in the top 10 right now. It's a brilliant start then for Jamie Chadwick. This is the best we've seen since what we saw from her in Aruba, and we are seeing an attempt of an overtake from El Bamba on Shane van Gisbergen. That's over at the hairpin at the end of the runway. That will be over the Petit Ouge. They've gone through Woodwest and it's into the sections of Ferris, Cav, Smith, Sanson, and then they'll shortly be arriving into the Cairns King before the hairpin of Goddard. And then I'm just seeing a replay here of Zane Maloney in the Ford, who has made contact. That will have been, I think that I couldn't quite see who that was. Or that one of the Lancers without a rear wing. That has to be Yi Iffy, who is without a rear wing there, and yeah, he's in a little bit of a mess at the moment. Well, I say a little bit of a mess, he's in quite a mess, and you can just see Cole Kirkwood and that's gone into the gravel. Into the gravel goes Callum Eilert, who's had a miserable start to the season so far, and as he tried to get out of the way of the Lancia, he got onto the grass and spun round violently into the barrier, and remarkably is able to keep going. It's going to be another long race for the Brit. I'm not even sure he'll be able to get out of there, in all honesty. Oh, he's wrecked the front wing as well, to add insult to injury. And the rear wing has gone off Eilert's car. Now he just needs to get the car spun round without any further damage. And into the pits comes Nick Tandy as well. He's been caught up in the mess. The man who finished second last time out in Rockingham is into the pits at the end of lap 1 here in Dijon-Bourgogne. Well, I can tell you that Ericsson's lost positions on this lap. He's lost the positions to Finn Gisbergen and to El Bamba, and he's been swamped by the field almost. You can just see the Sax Speed and just in the Lancia and the Chip Ganassi nearly coming together. That's DeAngelis and Herzer over at the Petit Ouge. And then they're making their way through the newer infield section of this racetrack. Eilert into the pits, and it's going to be a long race for him from there. Chadwick getting off to a super start then. Nearly 5 seconds clear over Mitch Evans already before the second lap is out. She's coming through the last corner of Dixon. Listen to lap number 3. She goes. Here we see Marcus Ericsson on the tail of the Jaguar of El Bamba before they get to the first corner of Arnu. It's onto the Goldschmidt straight, named after the former Minardi team boss Alex Goldschmidt within the Grand Prix series. Lap 3 of 48. It will be a quicker lap compared to the Dijon-Bourgogne circuit that this field had contested in the last couple of seasons. Right on board here with one of the Mazdas, which will be, instead of Reto Miata has been rested for this one, and it's Arvid Lindblad. Sorry, it's not Arvid Lindblad, my apologies, it has to be Nick Cassidy. Nick Cassidy, who led the Lead 2 race at this track for Dome until his car broke down, and that handed victory to the Ram of Matt Campbell. It was a very, very cruel day for David Young's team. Hoping they will go better this time. I can say that Show Boy is having a decent race of it so far, running in 6th place. New fast up of the race from Jamie Chadwick at 1:21.3 in the Lola. And an early pit stop already for Marcus Ericsson. Ericsson in the pits for Lola, and that's a lot earlier than planned. We're only at the end of lap 3, and I think Ericsson may have been in the war somewhere. It's an electrical problem for the Swedes. Lola hit with more problems early on. And we look at Joseph Newgarden, race winner last time out in Rockingham. Under threat from Roman De Angelis. And all the shenanigans have allowed Sergio Sete Camara and Felipe Drogovic to move up into the points. The two Brazilians. I think they're both from Belo Horizonte, thinking of it, in Brazil, the pair of them. Mitch Evans in second place, with Van Gisbergen third in the second Ducati. Both Ducatis in the top three. Calamolo a lap down in 26th and last place. Ericsson rejoined in 24th behind Nick Tandy. Ericsson will do well to get back into the points. No retirement so far, remarkably. Although there is an engine problem. And it's the race leader! Jamie Chadwick is out already! I cursed it! Jamie Chadwick from the lead is out! And it's her 5th non-finish in a row! It's now a Ducati 1-2. Mitch Evans leads. Shane van Gisbergen is second. It's race over for Jamie Chadwick. What a disastrous race it has been already for the Lola team and for Marcus Johansson. It couldn't get any worse. It's played into the hands of Sam Hull's team of Ducati, who are now first and second. Lola may have the pace, but reliability has not been on their side this season. Came into this round second in the team's championship. It's unlikely they'll be overtaking Jaguar, and there's a chance that Ducati could well get in front of them into second. You never know what could happen with Cooper Kiro and for Zaxby. They could all of a sudden get something strong out of this. Mitch Evans leads ahead of Shane van Gisbergen. It's Earl Bamber in third. Julian Anlauer, who's having a super season so far for Zaxby in fourth in his rookie campaign in the Grand Prix Series. Joe Suboy is fifth, followed by Joseph Newgarden, Remy De Angelis, Felipe Drogovic, Colton Herter, and Sergio Sete Camara round out the top 10. You see Mitch Evans, who's coming up to lap Callum Ilott, who was able to unlap himself from Jamie Chadwick, who had pulled off. Four seconds is the gap between Evans and Van Gisbergen. And you see Kamui Kobayashi, the Grand Prix Series' most experienced driver, going through on what looks like Dorian Pan, or so he thought. Pan was able to go back in front of it. Dorian Pan, who had a spirited debut for Iron Dames on her way to a 5th place finish. She is substituting again, this time for Jess Hawkins, who, and just as I say that, Zane Maloney, who was another one of the bright sparks in Rockingham last time out, has run over the curb too hard and has wrecked his front wing. And that was over where Sanson and Cairns is. And that is Maloney heading into the pits at the end of this lap. We've only done 6 laps so far, and it's going to be an early trip to the pits for Zane Maloney. Joseph Newgarden under attack from the Lancia of Roman De Angelis again. Newgarden didn't quite have the pace in qualifying, but I'm conscious to see whether he's going to try and do the one-stop here. Maloney into the pits for Ford. He won't repeat his podium from Rockingham. The Ducati team didn't score last time out in Rockingham. There's a chance for them to get a good haul of points here. See a move from Sergio Sete Camara on Colton Herter for 9th place. There's a long queue of cars behind Joseph Newgarden. You see Evans, who is coming up behind Callum Ilott, who's trying to pull away from him to avoid being lapped. And De Angelis is going through on the inside of Newgarden. That's over at Goddard, and he's got through into what is now 6th position. Next driver behind Newgarden is Felipe Drogovic in the Ford. are the two Ducatis, first and second. There is the second of them. So Camera is going through, or attempting to get by Felipe Drogovic into turn 1, and he's managed to complete the move at Arnu. Van Gisbergen in second place on lap 8, out of 48 here. Dijon-Bourgogne. Round 6 of this season, and there's a problem for Roman De Angelis, who very nearly got hit by the Cooper Kiro of Sergio Sette Camera. It's another race without points for him, and it's unlikely that Lance will come away with any points here. It's game over for the Canadian. That's one of Chris Cavani's cars out of this. Yiffy at the back after pitting at the end of lap 1 for repairs. And there we see Arvid Lindblad in the Toyota through on the inside of his teammate Nick de Vries over at Goddard. And he's having a fine debut so far, is Arvid Lindblad, on his Grand Prix Series debut for the Toyota team. In the battle for 6th place, Sette Camera getting through on Newgarden, who continues to drop back. And Drogovic, who has been struggling to get by. Well, I think he might have got overtaken by Sette Camera not too long ago. As we see the 40 and the Pacific go toe-to-toe. Louis Delatraz ahead of Jolyon Palmer for position. Palmer back after missing Rockingham due to suspension after his collision with Shane van Gisbergen at Indianapolis. Kamui Kobayashi through on the sack speed of Paul Aron. At the inside goes the Japanese, and that's him through into 12th position. And not far behind Aron is one of the stars of Rockingham, Dorian Pan, who continues to lead, continues to succeed in F1 Academy. Drogovic through on Newgarden for 7th place, and Newgarden is really beginning to struggle. I wonder if he's on a heavier fuel load compared to the others. We don't know for certain how much time you're going to lose in a pit stop. I think the only drivers that know how much time they lose in the pit stops are those who just had to come in for repairs. And there's Evans coming up to lap Callum Ilott, who isn't exactly doing him any favours here. Contact made there between Cassidy and Miki Koyama. Koyama, who is another one of those who's back after a... Well, she competed. No, she did. She missed Rockingham, I should say. She's back in the Iron Danes. It's Jess Hawkins who's sitting out this one after she was involved in the incident that decided the race with Nick Tandy. Jake Sanson took the opportunity to just rest or sideline Jess Hawkins in favour of Dorian Pan, who's continuing to step in. Pan is doing all what she needs to do in this championship to impress. She's having a phenomenal start to this one already. Earl Bamber in 3rd place, over 9 seconds off the lead at the beginning of lap 11. Approaching quarter of the way through this one. So we look at Shane van Gisbergen briefly. And now this is the Mazda of Nick Cassidy under attack from Miki Koyama and Kyle Kirkwood. We've got drivers in the pits, one of which is Kamui Kobayashi, another is Colton Herter. This could well be scheduled stops now. Those two in the pits. Koyama attempts to get through on Cassidy. No way through there, I'm afraid. Hertz rejoins in 21st place. Kobayashi 22nd. Over 5 seconds is the margin between Evans and van Gisbergen. He will be the first to pit. I can tell you that Mitch Evans is in at the end of lap 11. That will allow his teammates Gisbergen to go in the lead. We just saw Bamber running wide there on the exit of the last turn. Kyle Kirkwood, who's had a really unlucky time of it in the Grand Prix World Series. He raced for Arrows last season. And Julian Palmer comes in for Pacific as we speak. So he's had 11 races in the Grand Prix World Series, is Kyle Kirkwood. And he's only scored points on one occasion, which was in Sapoon for Arrows last season. Yuki Koyama coming into the pits, as does Yi Yiffy. That is Yi Yiffy's first scheduled stop of the race and his second overall. Van Gisbergen coming through. Sanson, this is the King of Cairns. Julian Anlauer in third place on track for Zach Speed. We're looking to continue their long run of points finishes. 18 races in a row, Zach Speed have scored points. It's a long time. Bamber having a better time of it here than he did so in Rockingham, at the back for pretty much the whole race. The consolation he came away from was getting the point for the fastest lap. And his teammate Joseph Newgarden went on to win the race. Van Gisbergen. I wonder how far he's looking to go in this before he actually does pit in. He's not caught up to any traffic yet. Arvid Lindblad, who's still in his own battle with Nick de Vries, trying to get through at the right-hander of Fleuve. Gisbergen carrying on 4.7 seconds in front. Paul Aron in 11th place. Zach Speed. Super effort in Rockingham for Paul Aron. Callum Ilott coming in for his first scheduled stop in the Pacific. Paul Aron, with his latest point score, moved up to 12th in the standings after his 4th place finish in Rockingham. Felipe Djokovic in the pits for Ford. Delatrez heading through on Newgarden. That's another position lost there for Joseph Newgarden. Now he's got Mitch Evans, who's already stopped in this race, trying to get through on Newgarden into the Fleuve right-hander. He doesn't quite do that. And out goes Sho Tsuboi in the Mazda. Engine failure for the Japanese. And Nick de Vries has also retired in the Toyota. Another non-finish for Michael Gillespie's team. I think he's had a coming together with one of the Chip Ganassis. The rear wing had already gone on de Vries' Toyota. And I think that was Kyle Kirkwood that ran into him. So he's already been run into at the beginning of the lap there, de Vries. I think Kirkwood will take the punishment for that, I'm afraid. 2 more retirements then, and another one potentially going to be excluded from the race result for taking out Nick de Vries. Tsuboi retires in the gravel track with engine failure. And de Vries goes no further as well. Wait the verdicts for the stewards. I think we can expect what the punishment for Kyle Kirkwood is going to be. It's a disqualification and a one-way span as we see Felipe Djokovic throw it all the way at Sanson and wrecks his front wing. He did exactly the same thing as what Saint Maloney did, his teammate. Very lucky he didn't completely drop the car through the kink of Cairns. So that'll be him off into the pit lane. Going back to what I was saying about Nick de Vries, Kyle Kyle Kirkwood. It's a one-race ban and a disqualification from this race. He'll be out at the next round in Jerez in 2 weeks' time. And Marcus Ericsson has been making his way back through the field, nearly coming together with Kyle Kirkwood. Now he needs to be on his toes here, does Ericsson. He doesn't run into the Chip Ganassi, otherwise he'll end up with the same punishment as what the American has already been picked up. Ericsson going through on the Chip Ganassi. There should be a slam dunk overtake here for the Swede. And Ericsson doesn't quite make his way past. Dorian Pan came into the pits for IM Dames. She's fallen out of the top 15, but she's had a good race so far. And Newgarden has been unlapped by Callum Ilott. I'm sure Newgarden's doing the one-stop here because he is not going very fast at the moment. And Felipe Drogovic, who's only just been in the pits for repairs, is now out of the race. And that's another one gone from this one. Pulls up in the same place as where Sho Suboy had retired. We've lost Jamie Chadwick. We have lost Roman DeAngelis. We've lost Nick DeFries, we've lost Sho Suboy, and we've lost Felipe Drogovic. Zane Maloney, the only Ford left in the race. He's trying to get through on Julian Palmer for 15th place, and we'll see Kobayashi locking up at the Mac chicane. Continues on. Approaching the third way mark in this one. Van Gisbergen continuing to lead, but he has yet to stop. And Paul Aron is doing his best to keep his car on the circuit. And Nick Cassidy is going to complete Mazda's Day in a blaze. And the Kiwi is out of the race here, and no points for Mazda. Just needs to be careful he doesn't cause too much drama here. I think he's out of everyone's way now, is Cassidy. At least it's not the humiliation of last season when he retired from the lead on the final lap. Nick Tandy comes in for Cooper Kiro. That's his first scheduled stop of the race, and Arvid Lindblad pits for the first time in the Grand Prix World Series. In contrast, Julian Anlauer continuing on for Zach Speed in third place. Ahead of him is Earl Bamber, who's having a strong race of this one. Unlike his teammate Joseph Newgarden, who's been struggling for pace in the early phases here. He's been overtaken by Mitch Evans as well, who has already pitted. So perhaps being on the one stop isn't exactly the way to go around this revised section of Dijon-Bourgogne. And a huge credit to the team manager of Lancia, Chris Cavney, who designed this circuit. Julian Palmer is ahead of Dorian Pan. Both he and Pan have pitted. We've got a couple more pit stops going on. One at Cooper Kiro and the other at 40. Seta Camera and Delachas are both in. Nick Tandy has gone through on Miki Koyama 4th position. He's only just been in the pits as Tandy. Kirkwood coming in for Chip Ganassi. His race is already compromised with the disqualification hanging over him. Delachas riding on the board in the 40, which is pitted. Managed to get out in front of Julian Palmer. Marcus Ericsson is right behind Paul Aron. I wonder if Ericsson is doing the scheduled one-stop strategy. And Mitch Evans is in trouble in the Ducati. He was due to take back the lead later on, but has hit mechanical gremlins. He's the next to fall from this one. Mitch Evans retires from the lead to Dijon-Bourgogne Grand Prix. Van Gisbergen and Anlower came into the pits, so Earl Bamber leads the race for now. It's race over for Mitch Evans. Engine failure. And this is costing Chikasi Dia here and Mitch Evans. That's 2 non-finishes in a row for him. Ericsson's up to 6th place behind Paul Aron. Ericsson could do with getting ahead of the Estonian very, very soon. Arthur Lindblad has come back into the pits. He's had some form of issue because it hadn't been long before he came in, and he's having to come back in again for repairs. And another engine problem, and it's Julian Anlower in the sack speed. They're dropping out like flies already. We're only on lap 20 now. The leader's just started, and Anlower is going to pull off here. Ericsson got through on Aron on the same lap, and I think Aron's in trouble. I think Paul Aron could well be in trouble here, and Sack Speed's run of 18 consecutive race finishes in the points could well be coming to an end. And it has come to an end because Aron is out. Double disaster for Sack Speed. And it's a loose wheel, and he got tapped off the circuit by Sergio Sette Camera, pulling off at the same time. Awful lot there for team manager Chris Hosey. Both of his cars out at the same time. We're not a half race distance yet, and already we've got around about 8 or 9 drivers out of this race. We've lost both of the sack speeds of Anlower and Aron. We've lost the Chikati of Mitch Evans. We've lost Felipe Drogovic, we've lost Nick DeFries, we've lost Joe Suboy, we've lost Nick Cassidy. We've also lost Roman DeAngelis, we've also lost Jamie Chadwick. And Kyle Kirkwood will be excluded from the race for his part in the incident with DeFries. Might have missed another name in there, but that's how chaotic this race has been already. See Joseph Newgarden in 3rd place. He could still actually win this, you know. His teammate Earl Bamber, who has not pitted yet in this, I think he's another one of those who's looking to do the one stop. Colin Herter is now up to 5th place in the Chip Ganassi. He's just dropped back as Sergio Sette Camera gets past. Tandy's got through ahead of Kamui Kobayashi into the points. And behind El Bamber, that is Arvid Lindblad, who's pitted twice already in this. He has the chance to unlap himself from the Jaguar. So we've got 2 manufacturers there, the Toyota and the Jaguar. I wouldn't be saying that last season. Arvid Lindblad is going to make his way through on the Jaguar up the inside, on the fresher rubber. And the Brit is through ahead and back on the lead lap. And if I was Earl Bamber, I'd just let the Toyota just go away, shoot off into the distance. Find himself back into a rhythm, and Maloney, well, he's certainly lost his rhythm. The front wing has gone again on the Ford. Miserable race for team manager Lewis Bassendale. He clipped the inside curb, entering the Ferris flick. And Maloney needs to be careful he doesn't rejoin into the path of another driver here. And he doesn't do so. He will fall to last place. Garden coming in 3rd, 10 seconds in front of Marcus Ericsson, who's done very, very well to get back into 4th place after that electrical problem in the opening few laps that forced him to come in. He's just been overtaken briefly by Setse Camera, but he's now behind Setse Camera. Is Ericsson. I think we're going to see why. I think Setse Camera has gone through on Ericsson maybe a little too easily. He's got through on the Swede, but we'll stay in touch with Ericsson to see if he is actually carrying an issue. It'll be a body blow to Marcus Johansson after a super qualifying with the front row lockout. Behind Ericsson is Louis Delatraz. He'll be desperate to get in front here. And he is going to go in front. Delatraz passes Ericsson. Behind Ericsson will be Colton Herter. And Kyle Kirkwood will no longer be involved in the race or in the next one. He is out in the Chip Ganassi from 14th place. We've not even reached half race distance, and we have 10 drivers already out of this. And parks up behind Mitch Evans and Julian Anlauer. And it looks like it's turning into a Goddard car sale over there. Anyone fancy an auction? We see Shane van Gisbergen continuing to march on in second place. He has already pitted. Earl Bamber has not. But we expect Bamber to do the one stop. Van Gisbergen, we believe, is going to do the two. Newgarden in third place in the Jaguar. 2 Jaguars in the top 3. Sergio Setse Camera is in 4th place under Louis Delatraz. Marcus Ericsson is 6th. Just ahead of Colton Herter, as we see Nick Tandy getting past Julian Palmer for 9th position. Now we see Setse Camera being overtaken here by Louis Delatraz into Arnu, or so he thought. Setse Camera holds on for now. I'm going to take the opportunity to run through the setups for each of the teams. Pacific and Zaxby's have gone for mid-top speed. 40 have gone for maximum top speed. Lola and Lancia have gone for mid-downforce. Ducati and Jaguar have gone for mid-top speed. Chip Ganassi have gone neutral. Toyota and Iam Dames have gone for mid-top speed. And Ford have gone for neutral. Cooper Kiro have gone for maximum top speed, and Mazda had gone for neutral. And we've got a pit stop over at Jaguar. Earl Bamber is in from the lead, and Shane van Gisbergen goes back ahead. It was run about 11 seconds in front of van Gisbergen was Bamber, so we'll use that to help calculate how much time you need for a pit stop. It was run about 27 seconds in front of Joseph Newgarden as well. Well, Bamber's exiting the pits now. There is Newgarden. I think Bamber will get out in front of Newgarden here. Well, it's very close in fact, but Bamber is ahead of his teammate. So I will probably say it's run about 27 seconds you need for a pit stop. Maybe 28 around here at Dijon-Bourgogne, which is kind of the average, if you ask me. Earl Bamber, who started the race from 5th on the grid, is in 2nd place after his sole stop. Joseph Newgarden, who has not pitted yet in this race. Look at Yiffy fighting it out with Miki Koyama. Yiffy, who started 7th place on the grid, had to come in for repairs at the end of lap 1. But at least he's still in the race in 13th. Ericsson, meanwhile, who has pitted in the early stages. How far he's willing to go before he decides to pit in. If he was to pit in now, he would probably rejoin in 13th behind Yi Yiffy. On lap 26, Van Gisbergen leading by 17 seconds over Earl Bamber, who will be on the fresher tyres. Jamie Chadwick still holds the point for the fastest lap. so that you know. Now, whatever happens, Lola will come away with the pole position point. But the hold on the point for fastest lap is far from secure. Bamber in second place, Newgarden doing his best to stay in touch before he comes in for his stop. And Nick Tandy pulls out of the race in the Cooper Kiro, out of everyone's way. Didn't see what the problem actually was, but just the way he bounced through the gravel there. He picked up the issue before he got to the right-hander of Petit Ouge. And he's parked up in the barrier there on the far side. Gearbox failure for the Brit and goes no further. He was running in 9th position before he pulled out. Down to 15 runners. Alfred Lindblad, Zane Maloney and Callum Eilert will move up. And Louis Delatro still fighting out with the sole surviving Kiro of Sergio Sette Camera. Goes Delatro, still not able to find a way through on the Cooper Kiro. Bamber in second place, going for a fastest lap. I'm not sure if he's doing enough on this lap to go and get it. But Van Gisbergen is 16 seconds clear. He'll probably pit around about that 32 or 33 for his final stop. There we see Delatros overtaking Sergio Sette Camera, or so he thought. Just want to see how the planned overtake had gone here, although he wasn't quite in front there, and that allowed Sette Camera to go back through. Did Delatros pick up a problem when he tried to get through? I'm not 100% certain what's going on with Louis Delatros's car. He might be coming in at the end of this lap. And he is in the pits. Here's Delatraz. Then that is a planned stop. Although that might be earlier than expected for Delatraz, but at least he's in now. He'll come out behind Miki Koyama in 12th. Allow Marcus Ericsson to go back into 5th place. Colton Herter, Dorian Pan, Jodian Palmer, Kamui Kobayashi and Yi Yifi inside the top 10. Jaguar have done so well to get both cars up to where they are and still in this. Both Lolas, well, one of the Lolas are already out. Marcus Ericsson still going in 5th place. We lost Mitch Evans, we lost both of the Zach Speeds, bringing Zach Speed's long run of 18 races inside the points. We have to go all the way back to the League 2 Indianapolis Grand Prix to see the Zach Speed team, who were run by Mike Smith at the time, who has now moved on to the Jaguar team. Chris Hosey is now the person in charge of Zach Speed. Colton Herter is in the pits. He was running in 6th position behind Marcus Ericsson before he came in. Delatraz and Koyama are heading through. Newgarden in 3rd. Sette Camera catching him in 4th place. It's been another fine effort from the Brazilian. Didn't really quite maximise the result compared to the performance of the car at Rockingham. It wasn't the only Cooper Kiro that made mistakes though. behind Kellermeyer lots a lap. Jaguar could well be on for 2 wins in a row, and it'll be the first for the team for El Bamba, who won for Leightonhouse in Mugello and Zhuhai last season. Ericsson and Sete Camara are both in the pits for their final stops. It looks like a missed gear there for Miki Koyama. Sete Camara rejoins behind Yiafi in 8th. And Maloney spins again in the Ford. What is going on with the man from Barbados? It's been an awful day for Zane Maloney. No doubt about that. That's the 3rd front wing gone in this race already for him. He just needs to get back on without any further drama here, and he's making it difficult for himself. And Sete Camara has hit trouble in the Cooper Kiro, I believe. We need to be going to where he is at, because he has had a really, really poor time of it on this up, has Sergio Sete Camara. And we're going to find out in a moment what's happened to him. We know he came into the pits for his last stop. But he's now behind Marcus Ericsson and a long way back from him. It's down to 12th place as the Brazilian. Dorian Pan pits in for Iron Dames from 4th. Maloney, well, really just be wanting to get to the end of this race now. It's been a miserable day for Ford compared to what they had achieved at Rockingham. Dorian Pan rejoins in 12th behind Sergio Sete Camara. Bamba isn't exactly closing down the gap on Van Gisbergen. We may not need to worry, because Van Gisbergen is due in the pits again before this race is over. Miki Koyama, the attack from Colton Herter into the Petit Ouge corner. Koyama is aiming for her first points in the Grand Prix Series. Jess Hawkins has already picked up 1 at Indianapolis. Dorian Pan got 10 last time out in Rockingham. Could well be points for both Koyama and Pan here in Dijon-Bourgogne. Joseph Newgarden pits in for the last time in the Jaguar on lap 32. Julian Palmer goes up to 3rd place for the time being in the Pacific. Newgarden rejoins behind Kobayashi and Yi. Bamba, P2 in the Jaguar. He's got Kellermeyer behind. He's already been lapped. Running in 14th place. Still got a long way to catch up to the next man ahead of him, who is Arvid Lindblad. Julian Palmer. He's had a tough time of it so far in the Grand Prix Series. He's having a better race of it here. 5 seconds, well, just under 5 seconds in front of Kamiri Kobayashi. There is Joseph Newgarden goes through on Kobayashi to 4th place. Newgarden's got a bit of ground to make up on Palmer before he catches up to him. Van Gisbergen continuing on his way. We've got a pit stop over at Lancia. Yiafi comes in. Ericsson gets past Delachaz for P6. Lock up there for Bamba. That was over at the Ferris Flick. It was one of the S's anyway, so he's always gone past the Ferris Flick. It's at the right-hander of Smith. locked up at. Lindbergh pits in for Toyota from 13th. Going down a lap on Shane van Gisbergen. Hertha is about to be overtaken here by Dorian Pan into the Petit Rouge. Pan on home turf. Through on the inside, or so she thought. And that's Zane Maloney, who's a lap down behind her. Pan will just need to watch her mirrors here in case Maloney does try to get back through ahead of her. And Maloney goes through to unlap Dorian Pan. Oh, Pan is not happy. She's getting held up behind the Ford. Kobayashi pits in for 40. Carrying on as he is. Miki Koyama is in the pits for Iron Dames. This will allow EFE to move back into the points. And we've got the race leader in. Shane van Gisbergen pits in at the end of that 34. An important moment in the race. Elbamba will go back into the lead, but how far will van Gisbergen be behind him? Disappointment for Kevin McMullen. Jolyon Palmer is so down in the Pacific. What a shame for Jolyon Palmer. The best race of his Grand Prix Series career so far. And he's out with 15 laps to go for him. And it's unlikely that Pacific will come away with any points. Ilott has just come in for his last stop. Gearbox failure for the Brit. Here comes Callum Ilott. He's just in front of Joseph Newgarden. Elbamba's lead is 8 seconds on the Kiwi of Shane van Gisbergen. There he is. Gunning for his first win in this championship. Mitch Evans took victory for Ducati at La Plata. Can van Gisbergen add his name to the long list of race winners in this championship? EFE coming in 9th, back in the points now. Ahead of him is the Iron Dames of Dorian Pan. Dorian Pan is quite a distance up from EFE actually. About 9 seconds clear. I can tell you that van Gisbergen is getting the power down. He's closing Elbamba down at a rate of knots here. He's already 6.4 seconds back. Tom Hertha comes in for Chip Ganassi for the last time in this race. I think Maloney's trying to unlap Pan again. It's not going to please Iron Danes one bit here. The race leader Elbamba. Van Gisbergen got the gap down by 0.6 in the last sector. In the final sector, he got it down by nearly half a second. 5.4 at the beginning of this lap between Bamba and van Gisbergen. Shane van Gisbergen. 81 victories he had achieved, or he's achieved so far in his Supercars Championship career. Is it going to be a Kiwi 1 and 2? this rate, it's looking good for a double Jaguar podium with Bamber in the lead and Newgarden in third place. What a job for Marcus Ericsson to get back up to 4th position after his electrical problems in the early stages. He may get more than what he's bargained for. Louis Delatraz is 5th. He's had a really good race as well as the Swiss. Delatraz started 20th on the grid to get up to where he is. Sergio Sette Camera started 16th, he's up to 6th place. Pan started 15th, he's in 7th. And Miki Koyama started 26th. He's inside the points in 10th place. Can she hold on and pick up her first point of the season? It'll be 3 races in a row for Iron Dames to have scored points. Bamber is now only 3 seconds clear of Van Gisbergen. I think it's a matter of time before the Ducati finds his way through as we speak. Bamber will be coming up to lap Arvid Lindblad in a moment. And then the last hairpin of the lap of Dixon. Just see Kobayashi make a lock up into the Mac chicane. Just to remind you that the top 3 teams at the end of League 2, or the end of the League 2 campaign, will go up to League 1 next season. And the bottom 3 teams in League 1 will go down to League 2. As it stands with the way things are going, Jaguar will continue to extend their lead over Ducati, even if Bamber doesn't pick up the win here. Ducati will move up to 2nd place. And Lola will be down to 3rd. Kubikiro won't be close enough to move ahead of any of the top 3 teams. Saxby won't be scoring. Lancia are set to be moving in front of Saxby in the team's championship. Just seen Pan and Maloney refusing to leave each other alone. Look at Bamber, who's now only 1.8 seconds clear of Van Gisbergen as he crosses over the line to begin lap 40. 9 to go. The gap is down to 1.3 seconds. Can Bamber hold on? Or will it be Ducati celebrating their 2nd win of the campaign in the hands of Sam Hull? There's Joseph Newgarden looking good for 3rd place. Marcus Ericsson is gradually getting the gap down. There goes Maloney on lapping. Dorian Pan. I think Pan just has to accept that Maloney's going quicker, so he allows him to go. There is Newgarden, there is Ericsson, who's not giving up on the Jaguar. I can tell you that Dorian Pan is now only 2.5 seconds clear of Yi Yufi in the fight for 7th place. There are the top 2. Van Gisbergen is right behind Bamber. They've not caught up to Arvid Lindblad. So this is going to be a straight fight between the top 2 here. They go over the line, and it's just half a second. 8 laps remaining. Van Gisbergen has got enough time to get the job done here. Will Bamber be able to hold on? Or is Jaguar's hold on the race lead about to be broken here? For the lead of the League 2 Dijon-Bourgogne Grand Prix, Van Gisbergen into the slipstream of the Jaguar. Down the inside goes Shane Van Gisbergen on Bamber. Is he through into the lead? No, he is not. He stays behind the Jaguar for the time being. Bamber holds on. No way through at the moment for the Ducati driver. Looking further down the order. Pan's gap to Yi is less than 2 seconds. That's the other battle that is close. 9 tenths is the margin between Bamber and Van Gisbergen, but Van Gisbergen will close right back up on Bamber. May need to wait until they get to where Goddard is for Van Gisbergen to overtake the Jaguar. Van Gisbergen just needs to be tucked up into the slipstream and pulls out earlier. Does he pull out earlier? Slightly earlier. Is he doing enough to get through on the Jaguar this time? Van Gisbergen diving up the inside, and the move is done. Van Gisbergen leads the lead to Dijon-Bourgogne Grand Prix on lap 42. It was a matter of time before the Kiwi got past his fellow countryman. And Ducati's second victory in the Grand Prix Series is looming large now. Bamber will sit back behind him. He knows the game is effectively up unless something happens to the Ducati ahead. It's still going to be a double podium for Mike Smith's team. For Sam Hole, he'll be jubilant on the pit wall to see Shane Van Gisbergen lead and on course to add his name to the long list of Grand Prix Series race winners. Newgarden in third place. His gap to Ericsson is 3.3 seconds, just under. Not long left to go in the race here. 6 laps remaining. Van Gisbergen pulling out the gap on Bamber. It's over 2 seconds. And you see the battle for P7 between Pan and Yi. Now Pan hasn't been happy being stuck behind Maloney, who's a lap down. And Yi going for it on Pan into the right-hander of turn number 2. And Newgarden riding the curbs heavily. He survives for now. We're not be doing that too many times. The gap between Newgarden and Ericsson has come down actually to less than 2 seconds. The fight for the final podium spot is far from over. And Yi is out. Yi, if he out in the Lancia before the end of the race, and he won't have completed enough laps either to be classified as a finisher. Both Lancias out for the 4th time this season. No points again for Chris Cavani's team. And that allows Colton Hertz to move up into the points in 10th. And Pan's 7th place finish looks to be more secure from here. Newgarden only 1.3 seconds ahead of Ericsson here. Coming up behind Callum Ilott Pacific, who was a long way back from 11th place Arvid Lindblad. He's looking good to finish on his debut in the Toyota. Of course, if Toyota were to get a point out of this, it wouldn't be enough to move off the bottom. 13 runners left in the race. Shane Maloney running in 13th and last place. We'll see Newgarden. The gap between him and Ericsson, well, we can just see both of them in the picture. It's gone back up to 1.5 seconds. Remind you of the setups, just to maybe help why the gaps tend to keep fluctuating. Jaguar have gone for a mid-top speed setup. Lola have gone for a mid-downforce setup. So what that means is that the Jaguar is quicker in a straight line compared to the Lola around this circuit. We've got a fight for the final, well, for 9th place between Miki Koyama and Colton Herta. The gap is less than a second, and I think Colton Herta may well get in front of Koyama before this race is over. This is the part of the circuit where Ericsson's gaining more of the time at. You can just see how hard he is pushing. Over a second back, but it looks closer than that here. Entering Goddard's. Van Gisbergen is now about 5 seconds clear of Van Bert. Is doing all he needs to do. And Herta goes through on Miki Koyama for 9th position. Looks like Chip Ganassi are going to get 2 points out of this after all. And it's going to be 2 races from 2, of which Colton Herta will have scored points for the Chip Ganassi team, who are headed up by Phil Kinch. We will see the team manager of Dams AGS. 2 laps remaining then for Van Gisbergen for his first Grand Prix World Series win. Newgarden, well, he's got a Lola looming behind, closing him down all he can. Newgarden should be able to hold on here. Herta is under attack from Miki Koyama, who hasn't given up yet. Newgarden and Ericsson close together. Remember I said Newgarden will be quicker in a straight line to the Lola, which should be all the leverage that the Jaguar needs to stay in front. Gisbergen, who's close to lapping Arvid Lindblad. He's had a respectable debut. He's had to make an unscheduled pit stop in this one, but he's running in P11, 1 place away from the points. Last lap then for Shane Van Gisbergen, who's driven a brilliant race, made the strategy work. Just needs to get through this lap. Victory will be his. So what happened in the League 2 Dijon-Bourgogne last season, or League 2 Dijon-Bourgogne Grand Prix last season, when Nick Cassidy pulled out on the last lap in the Dome. Sam Hall will be hoping that that kind of luck doesn't strike his driver. What a remarkable race for Ducati. It's a shame with Mitch Evans pulling out. Had it not been for that, he probably would have been the race winner today. Van Gisbergen inherited the lead. Managed to outsmart the Jaguars. The 2-stop strategy was the way to go here in Dijon-Bourgogne, and Ducati are about to celebrate another victory in their 6th Grand Prix Series race attempt. Shane Van Gisbergen exits the last right-hand sweeper of Dixon. Shane Van Gisbergen wins the League 2 Dijon-Bourgogne Grand Prix. It's another new race winner in this championship. Al Bamba finishes 2nd for Jaguar, keeping himself in the hunt for the title. You see Callum Eilert coming around to finish. Joseph Newgarden should be able to hold off Marcus Ericsson here. Nose to tail, right up to the gearbox. Newgarden holds off Ericsson by just over a tenth of a second, nearly colliding with each other on the cool-down lap. Newgarden third, Ericsson recovering to fourth place, and it's a brilliant drive to fifth place for Louis Delatraz. Best result so far for him. Sergio Sette Camera with another sixth place finish to add to his career points tally. Dorian Pan scores points again for Iron Danes in seventh place, with Kamui Kobayashi eighth. Both 40s inside the points. Colton Herter will be ninth, and it's going to be a first time in the points for Miki Koyama. Arvid Lindblad will be the last driver on the lead lap in 11th position on debut. It's a win for Shane van Gisbergen. In the 22nd attempt, he is a race winner, and doing so in the League 2 Dijon-Bourgogne Grand Prix. Earl Bamber second, making it a Kiwi 1-2. Joseph Newgarden making it 2 Jaguars on the podium. Marcus Ericsson fourth for Lola. Louis Delatraz fifth, followed by Sergio Sette Camera. Dorian Pan seventh. Kamui Kobayashi in eighth, with Colton Herter and Miki Koyama inside the points in the top 10. Arvid Lindblad in 11th for Toyota, followed by Callum Eilert and Zane Maloney, who were the last of the finishes and 1 lap down each. Yiafi retired with throttle problems. Julian Palmer out whilst being in the top 3. Nick Tandy, Paul Aron and Julian Anlo were both Saxon's retiring at the same time. That brings an end to the long run of point scores for the team. Mitch Evans and Nick Cassidy were also lost. Felipe Drogovic, Joe Zuboy, Nick De Vries, Roman DeAngelis and Jamie Chadwick were the rest to not finish. Kyle Kirkwood also retired and is banned and disqualified from this race for taking out Nick De Vries during that event. And he's also out of the next race in Jerez in 2 weeks' time. The points for pole position and fast lap going to Jamie Chadwick. Another race, another brand new race winner, Shane van Gisbergen. You could say, predictably, has won in the Grand Prix Series. A much needed result after a barren run of form in the last couple of rounds, but he's put it right here. Ducati are back on the map, first race win for him, and Ducati are looking so strong to earn a place in League 1 next season. It's time to run down on the League 2 Drivers and Teams Championships in the voice of Topher Smith, and we'll be back for the League 1 race very, very shortly.
So a New Zealand 1-2 and a maiden win in the Grand Prix World Series for Shane van Gisbergen. What a result for him. That's been a long time coming for the Kiwi, and he will be very happy with that result. Also happy will be the Jaguar team with both of their drivers on the podium today. That's a good haul of points for Mike Smith's team. But speaking of points, what has this done to the standings? Let's take a quick look. Marcus Ericsson, his fourth place today. A good recovery drive by Ericsson actually after his earlier problem. He maintains the lead of the championship, but only by 1 point now over Joseph Newgarden, who is into second. 1 point separating those two. This could get very tasty for the championship. Shane van Gisbergen's win moves him up to third on 57 points, 1 ahead of Earl Bamber, while Mitch Evans drops down to fifth, a second retirement in a row for him, and he will be looking to bounce back at the next race in Jerez. Nick Tandy sixth on 45 points ahead of Yefe on 38. Julian Anlauer, his first non-score of his career today, 34 points for the Frenchman, ahead of Jamie Chadwick, who retires once again here today, and Zane Maloney hanging on to his top 10 in the standings on 23 points. And in the teams, Jaguar 20 points clear now over Ducati. Mike Smith very happy with their result today, and they are mounting a serious title challenge at the moment. Lola hangs on to third in the standings on 102 points. Those top three really breaking away from the rest of the pack now, and it looks like it will be those three teams getting promotion into League 1 for next season. But there are still a lot of questions to be answered regarding who's going to win the title. Cooper Akiro fourth on 68 points, building up a gap of 18 over Zakspeed. Lancia sixth on 49 ahead of 40 Corsa on 37. Ford on 25. Iron Dame scoring more points again today, moves them above Mazda on count back 18 points each. And then in 11th, 12th and 13th, Chip Ganassi, Pacific and Toyota having difficult seasons at the moment. Well, with League 2 wrapped up for another event, let's head on over to the League 1 action and have a quick reminder of how the standings look. And Scott Dixon putting together a very, very strong season so far, leading the way on 78 points, 19 ahead of Kevin Magnussen in the Fometal. Scott McLaughlin third on 51 ahead of Felix Rosenquist on 46. Kevin Estra fifth on 37 ahead of Robin Friends on 34. And then Christopher Bell, Antonio Fix da Costa, Alex Palou, and Jake Dennis round out the top 10. And in the team's Onyx Grand Prix, already looking like the early favourites for the team's title. 115 points for Ryan Ferris' team, 87 points for Fon Mittal, ahead of HRT on 81 and Arrows on 80. Those top four are the breakaway group at the moment. Ram Racing 5th on 32, one ahead of Minardi on 31, Andretti 27, Carlin on 20. And then in the relegation battle at the moment, BAR on 9, Prost also on 9, and then Prema, Simtek and Force India sharing 8 points each. It is still early days. That relegation battle could change. We have a lot of races left to run and score points in, so don't say that this is over just yet. Just the one driver change in League One before we take you through the grid, and that comes at the Prema team. Alex Johnson not at all happy with the performances of Louis Foster, the Briton. Won the last 2 races of last season, looked like he could carry that form over into this season, but in the first 5 races has scored a grand total of 0 points. It's not been a season that Louis Foster or the team manager Alex Johnston wanted, and the team has made the decision to put Tomiki Najiri back into the car. The vice champion from League 2 last season, everyone was surprised when he wasn't picked up for a race seat for Season 5, and he now has the chance to prove himself again and get back onto the grid full time. And so we now head on to the grid for today's League 1 Dijon-Bourgogne Grand Prix. And on pole position, once again, is Felix Rosenqvist in the Arrows. That's yet another pole position for the Swede this season. He's definitely been the form man when it comes to qualifying. Kevin Magnussen makes it an all-Scandinavian front row in the Fon Mittal, over a tenth behind Rosenqvist, but he'll be looking to get ahead of the Swede as quickly as possible. Sebastian Buemi, the reigning champion, with his best qualifying of the season so far. 3rd place for the Prost team, who took a bit of a gamble on a higher downforce setup, and it has paid off as far as Buemi in qualifying is concerned. Nicholas Latifi 4th in the BAR, ahead of Kevin Estre in the Onyx. Stoffel Vandoorne 6th in the Carlin, his best qualifying of the season so far, ahead of the HRTs of Christopher Bell and Scott McLaughlin. And then rounding out the top 10, Scott Dixon and Pato O'Ward putting both Carlins into the top 10. Pascal Wehrlein lines up 11th in the Minardi, ahead of Antonio Felix da Costa in the Fon Mittal 12th. Jean-Eric Verne 13th in the Force India, looking to get some points on the board for himself and for the team. Mahavira Kunathan 14th in the BAR, ahead of Jose Maria Lopez, who compared to his teammate, quite a disappointing qualifying for the Argentine, and he will be looking to move forward into the points. Ryo Hirakawa 16th in the second Minardi, ahead of Raffaele Marcello in the Force India. Oliver Rowland 18th, ahead of the 2 Andrettis of Linus Lundqvist and Jake Dennis. And then at the back, Alex Palou, Nolan Siegel, Igor Fraga, and in 24th is the returning Tomiki Najiri. He would have expected a lot more than that in qualifying. Nina Hardeman 25th, and Robin Freins props up the field, having picked up a back of the grid penalty last time out in Rockingham. Well, we had an exciting League 2 race here in Dijon-Bourgogne, and we can't wait to see what the League 1 race is going to bring us. So let's get straight to it and hand back over to Tom Cairns, who's ready to get this one underway in the commentary box.
Felix Rosenqvist on pole again. Can he rebound after the misfortunes of the last couple of races, or can Kevin Magnussen find his way back to the top step? The 5 red lights are coming on now here in League 1 at Dijon-Bourgogne. Lights on, lights off, it's go! Rosenqvist getting off very poorly from pole position. Magnussen up the inside of him already before he gets to the right-hander, and it's the Fon Mittal who is into the lead. So Magnussen leads ahead of Rosenqvist. Stoffel Vandoorne up to a brilliant 3rd place in the Carlin, and he's got Sebastian Buemi who's dropped back. So it's Magnussen who leads, Rosenqvist 2nd, it's Vandoorne, Buemi, Nicholas Latifi is in 5th for BAR, Scott McLaughlin is 6th for HRT. And then it's Kevin Estre, Scott Dixon, Christopher Bell and Pascal Wehrlein in the top 10 as we speak. See Nicholas Latifi going through on Sebastian Buemi. Let's have the best race so far this season, or best qualifying of the season so far in the Prost. It's just been overtaken. And now the field are circulating their way through the infield. It's Ericsson, or Magnussen I should say, who's in the lead, with Rosenqvist fighting back on the inside, and Rosenqvist is going back into the lead here at Goddard, and Rosenqvist is passed. Brilliant move from Rosenqvist back into the lead, but can he stay there? With the Swede leading round to complete the first lap, and it's the fond result of Kevin Magnussen, who's continuing to lose ground, and you can just see Van Dorn going for it into turn 1. Can Van Dorn find a way through? The answer is no. And further back, we're seeing Verline in the Minardi through on Christopher Bell, and there's a tap. That is Pato Ward has been hit by Matafir. We're going to finish turn 1, and I think we're going to will be hit with a time penalty for that, because that was not his corner, and he gained the position by making contact. And yeah, Rigonathan was not ahead at the corner, and I think that'll be 10 seconds of time penalty for the Indian. And Ward is about to be overtaken by the Force India of Rafael Marcello almost. 10-second time penalty for Matthew Rigonathan for causing the collision and gaining a spot because of it. Satifi on a charge in the BAR, heading through on Stoffel Van Dorn at the Petit Ouge corner. Scott McLaughlin through on Sebastian Buemi at the same time. And there we see Christopher Bell here, who is in a scrap with Pascal Verline. He's under attack from Matthew Rigonathan. Moving infield the course once more. See Rigonathan attempts to get through on Bell, looking to the outside here at Dixon, and Jonathan Verne is out of the race in the Force India. I don't know what on earth has happened. Oh, he's come together with one of the Andrettis. That's over at Cairns, and Verne almost flipped and nearly took out one of the Simtex as he rejoined back onto the track. I want to see another replay of that, because that looks very, very nasty. It was Jake Dennis that he collided with. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Very, very messy there between the Force India and the Andretti. Team manager Ed Spencer will be absolutely furious. The team manager of the Andretti squad, Linus O'Howe, may argue. How the race goes, the home hero, Shonick Verne. And we'll see what the stewards make of that. Rigonathan got through on Bell, for your information, into the points. And we'll just wait for verdict from the stewards. And it's a disqualification and a one-way span for Jake Dennis. Not only is he out of this race, but also out of the next one in Jerez. Here's Scott Dixon going through on his teammate Kevin Estra for position, or so he thought. Satifi into third place then. Rafael Marcello is in 13th, just ahead of Antonio Felix da Costa. Approaching the end of lap 3. There is Kevin Estra, who's running in P7. Dixon's dropped back a few positions. I don't know if he's picked up an issue as the Kiwi, or whether he's just maybe got boxed in behind Estra and lost a couple of places because of it. He's going back through on the inside of Pascal Verline almost, and someone has blown up ahead, and it's Kevin Magnussen. Magnussen from second place, on fire, and he's been taken off the circuit by Sebastian Buemi. Will the stewards take action to that? Well, Van Dorn got through. Buemi was tucked up behind the Fon Metal. Oh, he just runs into him, does Buemi. I imagine that Buemi could well be hit with a punishment for running into Magnussen and taking him out. I think Magnussen was already pulling to the side anyway, so there may be a case. Magnussen retires, and I think that's the first time this season he has failed to finish. He's done well to get up to this point in the season without a non-finish, but he's out now. And Rigonathan has dropped down the order in the BAR, and he's also out of this race. He's pulled off to the side. And no further action is taken on the incident with Magnussen and Buemi. Rigonathan is the latest driver to pull off the circuit with mechanical gremlins. It's a gearbox failure for the Indian. 3 drivers out of the race. Murphy Regunathan, Kevin Magnussen, and Sean-Eric Verne. We look further back, almost like a 3-0 scrap there. That was like a Minardi, an Andretti, and a Prima. Nearly coming to blows. Ollie Rowland coming together with. Behind Rowland is Nina Gaidman. He's aiming for a better race fit here than previous. Rio Hirakawa behind Robin Friends, who started from the back of the grid after a back of the grid drop. And Jake Dennis's engine is expired on lap number 5. On fire as well. So that sorts the problem out with him. And he's just been nudged off the circuit by the Prema, almost. Jake Dennis is pulling out of this race. Got Nolan Siegel right behind. He makes his way through, as will Tommy Kinajiri and Igor Fraga. Dennis pulls off and goes no further. Rosenquist remains in the lead, 6 seconds clear over Nicholas Latifi in second place. Stoff Van Don third, Sebastian Buemi fourth, Scott McLaughlin fifth, and it's Kevin Estra, Pascal Verline, Scott Dixon, Antonio Felix da Costa, and Christopher Bell inside the points. Dixon heading through on the Minardi of Pascal Verline for P7. There is Bell behind da Costa, who's up to the points now, or up into the points. Oh, and below got bounced out wide by Lopez at turn 2. Remains on the racetrack. Needs to come onto the back straight. I don't think Lopez is going to have the straight line speed. We'll run down on the setups then, whilst this race is calming down. Prost have gone for a maximum downforce setup. HRT have gone for mid-top speed. BAR neutral. Arrows mid-downforce. And whilst I say that, I'll come back to the setups because we've got an engine failure for Robin Friends in the Arrows. It's an early exit for him as well, and he's got to be careful because he's got a Simtech coming through. And there goes the Prima, and there goes the Ram heading through. Friends will be pulling off the circuit. It's one of the Arrows drivers out. Friends goes no further. So I'll start again. Prost have gone for a maximum downforce setup. HRT mid-top speed. BAR neutral. Arrows mid-downforce. Force India neutral. Minardi have gone for a mid-top speed setup. Simtech mid-downforce. Onyx mid-top speed. Likewise for Von Metal. So, Carlin have gone for a neutral setup. Prema and Andretti have gone for mid-top speed. And Ram have gone for neutral. Prost are the only team using a maximum downforce setup for this circuit. As we see Alex Palou stuck behind Jose Maria Lopez, who managed to get through ahead of him. And now we're looking at the battle for third place because Van Dorn has got Buemi on his tail. This has been Prost's best race so far this season, as far as their qualifying is concerned. Looks like Buemi may well be getting through on Van Dorn here, and he does so. I think it goes to show that Prost really do have a fast car for this circuit. They've nailed the setup, and Buemi has found a way through. There are a total, just counting the number of corners for this circuit. It looks like we've got 15 corners, I would say, for this racetrack. Alex Palou under attack from Rio Hirakawa, who's gone in for another podium. Rosenquist is doing his best to stay in the lead here. He's the only Arrows driver left in the race now. Hirakawa overtakes Palou. Well, maybe not this time around. Rosenquist completes his 8th lap. And we see an overtake from the Prema of Ollie Rowland through on the Minardi. Jose Maria Lopez has got past Rafael Marcello on the same lap. Nina Gaiman gets overtaken here by Lena Sundqvist. I think Simtek are going to be in for a long season, a long relegation battle to stay in League One. Igor Fraga heading through on Nolan Seacole. That was a really robust way to get past, but it was fair. We see Tom McKinnon-Jury, who's competing his first race this season in place of Louis Foster. Prema are in need of everything they can get to remain as a League One team for season 6. So far this season we've been to Aruba, Campo Grande, been to Aruba in the Caribbean, Campo Grande in Brazil, La Plata, Argentina, Indianapolis, USA, Rockingham, UK. Today is Dijon-Bourgogne in France. After this round we go to Jerez in Spain, Mugello in Italy, Hockenheim in Germany, which will be the venue for the mid-season test. Then it's off to Poznan in Poland, Brno, Czech Republic, Parnu, Estonia, Marrakesh, Morocco for round 13. This is to South Africa, to Kyalami, New Delhi, India, Fuji, Japan, Sepang, Malaysia, and Adelaide, Australia will be the venue for the 18th and final championship round of the season, with the non-championship Macau Grand Prix to follow a week after that, involving the 13 highest scoring teams across the 2 leagues. 5 drivers out of the race so far. We've lost Robin Freins, Jake Dennis, Matt Virugunathan, Kevin Magnussen, and Jean-Eric Verne. 2 seconds is the gap between Latifi and Buemi. And continuing to pull away from Van Dorn. He will be doing the 2-stop, and he will be doing the 1. Lap 11, I believe, was the earliest we saw drivers coming in for their scheduled stops. Well, Igor Fraga is in at the end of lap 10. He's at the back of the field, so he's got nothing to lose. Scott Dixon on the inside of McLaughlin. Is he through? The answer to that question is no, he's not. He's falling back into the clutches of his teammate, Kevin Estra. Rosenquist carrying on in the Arrows. Estra heading through on Scott Dixon for position. 2 Onyx drivers swapping places. Onyx have yet to register a non-finish from either driver this season so far. They've managed to get both drivers to the end of every race in season 5. It's been Onyx's best season by far. Buemi on the tail of Latifi in the battle for second place. A few more scraps happening further down the order. And Latifi has just been overtaken by Buemi. Has Buemi picked up an issue? I think Latifi's got a problem here, because he's not going very quick. Nolan Golden Seagull nearly colliding, and Van Dorn's been knocked off the circuit by Latifi. What on earth happened there? He ran round the outside. Oh, that was Van Dorn. I initially thought Buemi nudged him off, but no, that was all of Van Dorn's own making. So Van Dorn went to the outside. Oh yeah, you can't blame Latifi for that. You can't blame Latifi for that. No, Van Dorn's left himself in a really dangerous spot here. He could be in trouble here for the unsafe rejoin. Yeah, he's in a very dangerous spot. He's going to fall right to the back of the field. Where does he rejoin? Oh, he's damaged the car. Rosenqvist pits from the lead. Towards Van Dorn. He's continuing to have his own problems. Buemi pits in from second. And Latifi, I think, has had to come in prematurely. And with Van Dorn having his off, that must mean you see Da Costa heading for the pits for Fomitel. Scott McLaughlin's the race leader now. Rosenqvist rejoins in second. And it's Dixon, Estrup, Bell, Verline, O'Ward, Lopez, Marcello and Pelot. And I think Buemi has dropped to 13th. He's dropped to 13th place as Buemi. And we see McLaughlin, who's just ahead of Rosenqvist. There goes the Minardi. Ooh, didn't quite get through there. Now Buemi's stuck behind him. Of course, now they've got a maximum downforce set up for this course, so that should play into the hands of Buemi to get through on Rio Hirakawa. Dixon pits in for Onyx, as does Lopez in the Prost. Buemi gets through on Hirakawa, who is coming into the pits. Buemi will have lost time thanks to that. Latifi heading through on the Prema. Seagull in. Sebastian Buemi, he's right behind Oliver Rowland for 9th position. For a second, that's the gap. Half a second is the margin between Rowland and Buemi. Rosenqvist is into the lead now of McLaughlin. Rosenqvist, who's already won this season at Campo Grande, going for win number 2 this time around. We will see any more pit stops on this lap. Verline is in for Minardi. When we thought about going for it on the Prema ahead of Rowland, not quite doing so. And Dixon is slowing in the Onyx, and it's going to be a first retirement of the season for Ryan Ferris's team and for Dixon. That's a rear suspension failure, forcing the Kiwi to retire. No points for him. Rosenqvist continuing to dominate proceedings. Now with Magnussen out of the race, Dixon's chances of retaining the lead in the Drivers' Championship are very much secure because McLaughlin cannot overtake him in the points battle. Christopher Bell puts in for HRT. Rowland comes in for Prima as well. Lopez behind the Minardi of Pascal Verline as we see Christopher Bell come out of the pits in the HRT. Lopez trying to get through on the Minardi, not quite able to do it this time around. He's still fighting with the Minardi. Here's Jose Maria Lopez. Lopez is going to be under attack here from Bell, who's on fresher rubber. Lopez has done well to retain his position. Astra in third place on the track, ahead of O'Ward. Blow and Gaidman are in the pits, along with Nigiri, which will fall out of the top 15. There's Bell, still with Lopez. Lopez again holding him off. There is Astra. Oh, going for it again on Lopez. This should be him through this time. It's Bell that's ahead of the Prost. Rowland's at the inside of the Simsec. No way through just yet. 6 drivers out of the race. Scott Dixon, Robin Frines, Jake Dennis, Murphy O'Gunathan, Kevin Magnussen and Sean Fern. McLaughlin and Estra are both in the pits, which will allow Ward, Marcello and Boemi to move up. Pascal Verline ahead of Estra. Estra comes out of the pits in 9th. McLaughlin is just behind his teammate. Is he out in front of Lopez? I think he is. He's behind Marcello. Can he find a way past the Force India? He needs to do so, really. He's going to come away with a podium finish out of today. So a strong race so far compared to previous. There is Boemi. He knows he's quicker than the Force India. Oh, and to see the Prima going for a spin. Thankfully doesn't take out any of the other drivers. And Rowland has had another messy race here. Too much curb. So Ward comes into the pits for Carlin. Sunfist in for Andretti. Rowland rejoins in last place and will need to come back in for a new front wing. Seconds clear of this battle here between Boemi and Marcello nearly coming together. Boemi Boehme just needs to be very careful he doesn't take out anyone. Shouldn't be too long before Boehme finds a way through. This is Alex Blow going through on Igor Fraga for position. That move was inevitable. Boehme's still stopped behind Marcello. He's losing time. Boehme find a way through at last. Not this time around, unfortunately, for the Swiss. This is frustrating. This is hurting Boehme's race here. He's going up the inside now. Has he completed the move? He has at last. Nicely done by Sebastian Boehme. It's very aggressive. He's got through, nevertheless. I don't think it'll be too long before Latifi finds his way past the Force India. Van Dorn pits in for Carlin. Down a lap by the time he rejoins. Now on lap 21, Rosenqvist continuing to dominate, but can he stay there? The positions as they are, he'll move up to second place in the Drivers' Championship, which will also help Harris's chances in the Teams' Championship. To go with that, there goes Latifi on Marcello. Set the Arnoux corner. That's the BAR finally through. Change for position between Estre and Verline. Estre through into 6th position. Reaching the halfway point in this. So far, so good for Felix Rosenqvist. Prost, who've had a very poor season so far. Boehme up there in second place, looking good for a podium. And McLaughlin nearly taken out Jose Manuel Lopez. In fact, he has taken him out. And that was totally precipitated by the Australian, spinning right into the path of the Prost. It's McLaughlin's wheel that's come off, not Lopez's. By the way, it's hurt both of their races. And I reckon McLaughlin will pick up some form of punishment for that. Lopez will be absolutely furious because he had a good race up until that point. McLaughlin retires, goes no further. Lopez trying his best to get back on the circuit. Can't rejoin the race, and Polosov as well, and he's had a spin also with the Minardi. Absolute pandemonium here at Dijon-Bourgogne. We don't know what triggered that, so we can't really come to the conclusion, but McLaughlin will pick up some form of punishment for this. And Scott McLaughlin will start the next race from the back of the grid. That is race control's verdict. This is unbelievable here. Lopez doing his best to get back on the circuit. Van Dorn gets through. Oh, he needs to watch for Rosenqvist who's come back into the path of. That was naughty from Lopez. Very naughty indeed. Well, yeah, that was just stupid from Lopez. Really, really stupid. And team manager of Arrows, Topher Smith, will be furious with that. Ironically enough, that would have helped Sebastian Boehme It's a 10-second time penalty for Jose Maria Lopez for the unsafe rejoin. But that could have been so much worse. And Rosenqvist has lost 5 seconds because of that. Through all the chaos, Pillow rejoined in 16th place, Pillow now 18th, and Hirakawa with his spin, I think he's in P15, or it might be 14th rather. We'll have a look as the timing tower changes. Set the clock at the 7th driver out of the race. Hirakawa's in 15th position behind Nina Gaben. Buemi continuing to get the gap down on Rosenqvist. The gap is 16 seconds at the beginning of the lap. It's still 16 seconds. See Rosenqvist. He's got Oliver Rowland closing him down to unlap himself. With Nicholas Latifi for the VAR squad, who have only picked up points on one occasion this season at Indianapolis, or La Plata I should say. Just 9 points to their name all season. Now coming into this round, the bottom 5 teams were all separated by 1 point. BAR looking good to score heavy, as do Prost. Prema are not looking to score, neither are Simtek. Force India, with Marcello up there in 4th, looking good. Not quite to get out of the bottom 3 because Prost and BAR are scoring heavy. Carlin are doing just about enough to stay out of the bottom 3, but Prema and Simtek will be falling further and further behind as it stands. See Sebastian Buemi in P2. Four seconds clear over Latifi. Buemi is due to stop again before this race is over. Rowland is continuing to close in on Rosenqvist to unlap himself. Costa. Antonio Felix da Costa going through on Marcello. He should go through here into 4th place. Easier said than done. Latifi on in 3rd place. Lucy Van Dorn locking up. That's over at the Mac chicane. It's behind Alex below. Outside. And he does actually keep going towards the Belgian. P3 ahead of Da Costa, who's another 6 seconds back from him. Estra and Bell nose to tail. Howard 8th, Furlong 9th, and Igor Fraga inside the points for Ram. Good for potentially another championship point, and Roland goes for a spin again at the same spot as before. It's been another awful day for Promett and for Oliver Rowland. They just cannot find some form of rhythm at the moment. Trying to get back on the circuit. Buemi goes through. Latifi will go through. Rowland does get back on the circuit. Needs to watch for the Fonmetal. Oh, he did very well. But there's the Onyx of Kevin Esther coming through. This could get dangerous here. Bell has got through on Rafael Marcello for 6th position. That's all that had been going on. I think Marcello may well be coming into the pits at the end of this lap. No, he's still out there, is Marcello. There is Rowland, who's been lapped by the field here. He needs to get out of the way of Marcello, who'll be heading through. Still not through yet. Fraga comes into the pits for the first and only time in this race. Najiri doing the same. Buemi managing the gap on Rosenqvist, who I doubt will be sitting rather comfortably compared to before. Seconds is the margin. Buemi doing a super job so far. Now on lap 28. 21 laps remaining. Van Don heading through. That is Igor Fraga, who's just pitted. Is he through? No, he's not. Christopher Bell pits for HRT. Buemi in P2. Second round of pit stops to arrive for the leaders. Carrying on his way. Trying to build the gap on Latifi. You have to say, Buemi, I think when he's not in traffic, he's been quicker than Rosenqvist comprehensively, albeit not by much. Van Dorn on the inside. Fraga, but still no way through for him. De Costa comes in, he was running in 4th place. It was the Portuguese. Marcello heading in also for Force India. De Costa will rejoin in 9th position ahead of Bell. Marcello down to 13th. Latifi doing his best to catch up with Buemi, but also making sure BAR gets some good points out of this. You see De Costa on the attack already on Nolan Siegel for 8th. He's got his nose in front before the corner, should be heading through here, and he is through. Chris coming up behind. Jose Murillo Pozo very nearly took him out earlier. Latifi. He's continuing to drop back from Buemi. Kevin Estre is 7 seconds behind him. There is Oliver Rowland. And that is with the... That's Pato Award he's fighting with, and Award's a lap ahead of Rowland. It's over the line very shortly. Ooh, Latifi nearly ran wide on the grass. In fact, he did put a wheel on the grass. Did the Canadian. Was lucky to keep going. Buemi in P2. Looking good for his first podium of the season. Same for Prost as well, just as the upgrade window opens for all the team managers to improve the car's brake horsepower, downforce and reliability. Rosenqvist is still stuck behind Lopez at the moment. Oh, and that's a tap from Oliver Rowland on O'Ward, and that's naughty from Rowland. That was not his corner, and he very nearly took the Carlin out. Lundqvist and Siegel both in the pits. All out of the top 10. No further action is going to be taken. Rowland is quite lucky. He's not going to be paying a visit to the steward's room. Rosenqvist is in the pits, 4 arrows from the lead. As we see Malone heading through the last corner, Lopez in at the same time. Sebastian Buemi going into the lead. Does he come in on the same lap as Rosenqvist? Buemi's into the lead. Latifi is second, and Rosenqvist will rejoin in front of Kevin Estre. I think it is worth Buemi staying out there for a bit, so that he can be on fresher tyres in the closing stages. Oh, and I think Buemi just allowed the Carlin to go through there. No, that's not a sign of things to come for Buemi, because he's driven a beautiful race. We know he hasn't got the straight line speed compared to some of the other cars, but that was too easy of an overtake, and that's allowed Latifi to close in. I think it might have been Van Dorn that's just unlapped Buemi, thinking of it. Buemi pits in from the lead then, staying out 1 lap after Rosenqvist. And that hands the lead over to Nicholas Latifi in the BAR. Can he get the hammer down? Maybe hold off Rosenqvist for a little bit. Buemi rejoins in 4th place behind O'Ward, who we expect to see in the pits before the race is over. And throws Buemi off O'Ward. He is quite a bit behind actually. He's run about 7 seconds behind O'Ward is Buemi, so it's not like he's got too much traffic to deal with. We'll see below. Last corner. So, for him, it's another lap completed. It's the final third of this League 1 Dijon-Bourgogne Grand Prix. Rosenqvist has dominated the race But it's not done yet. And we've seen a battle involving Verline, and I think that's Oliver Rowland who's holding up Kevin Estra. Estra will be furious with this. I think a number of drivers will be furious with back markers, including him. Does Rosenquist go through on Latifi this time around? The answer to that question is no. Gaiman is coming for Simtek, hoping that she'll remain there. And in the King of Cairns, Rosenquist does not go through on this occasion. Rosenquist is really tucked up behind the BAR here. Does he go for it? He doesn't, you know. Coming up behind Rosenquist is the Prost of Jose Maria Lopez. Reward pits in for Carlin, which will hand third place back to Buemi. Although I think Buemi has come back into the pits. He's picked up an issue, has the Swiss. When Prost needed a good haul of points here, they've hit electrical problems for their lead driver, Sebastian Buemi. This pit stop will drop him out of the points. His chances of a podium are gone. Rosenquist still stuck behind Latifi. Latifi is due in the pits again before this race is over. He's in now. Has he done enough to rejoin ahead of Antonio Felix da Costa, who's up into third place in the Fonmetal? The Portuguese. He needs to get his second podium of the season. And Latifi is coming out of the pits here. Is Da Costa in front? He is in front. So if Latifi is going to finish second here, he'll have to pass Da Costa on the circuit. Oh, and that's a tap from the Minardi of Pascal Verline on Pato O'Ward. O'Ward did very well to keep hold of the position. I think it's a matter of time before Verline makes his way through. Buemi is stuck behind Igor Fraga. Now we look at Latifi, who's on the tail of Da Costa already. Buemi alongside Igor Fraga. Does he make his way through into the Petit Ouge corner? The answer is no. That's very unfortunate for Prost. Things are going right for BAR as Latifi gets through on Da Costa, and it's only taken him a lap to do that. That's the difference of having new tyres on for you. Buemi's got past Fraga. He's up into the points again. Estra nearly running into Pascal Verline. Chris on course for his third Grand Prix World Series win. With the second this season he has picked up. As it stands, Arrows will move in front of HRT. Will also move in front of Fonmetal. Onyx will stay in the lead of the team's championship. The gap will be a lot closer compared to what it was before this race had started. Trying to get through on Verline into turn 1, and he does it. He does it into the Arnoux corner. Kevin Estra moves up to P7. The Drivers' Championship as it is. Felix Rosenquist will be 5 points off the lead. The pole position and fast start points in his grasp. And there we see the Simtech. That will be Nina Gaiman nearly running into Ria Hirakawa. And the Mechanical Gremlins can stop Felix Rosenquist now. I think even if he came into the pits with a problem, he'd be on much fresher tyres and would easily get in front of Nicholas Latifi and Antonio Felix da Costa. Nothing is certain in the Grand Prix World Series. Positions as they are, it'll be Dixon leading the championship, Rosenquist in second, Kevin Magnussen will be third, and Scott McLaughlin will be fourth. Christopher Bell will move in front of Robin Friends into 6th place. As it stands, there goes Ria Hirakawa on Nolan Siegel, that's for 13th. Just see the gap gradually coming down a little bit between Rosenquist and Latifi. 24.5 seconds in Sector 2. What will it be over the line? It's just under 24.5. Let's see if we can get down gradually. Reminder of the setups for the BAR and Arrows squads. BAR for a neutral setup, whereas Arrows have gone for a mid-downforce setup. BAR will be quicker in a straight line. Sebastian Buemi is 3 seconds off 9th place Linus Lundqvist. And there is Latifi running wide in the BAR, and lucky to keep going there. That could have been curtains for the Canadian. Yeah, just going too much speed into the Ferris flick. And unlike some, he's able to keep the car pointing in a straight line. Eight laps to go for Rosenquist. It's an overtake for what looks like Ria Hirakawa on Tomic Nijiri, which doesn't quite come off for him. Two seconds between Lundqvist and Buemi. I think Buemi will get in front of Lundqvist before this race is over. I don't think he's going to have enough time to catch the likes of O'Ward, Esther and Verline. I think he'll run out of laps before he does get up to the rear of them, but we'll see. Oh, and Rosenquist's front wing is gone! Drama in the closing stages. Rosenquist has caught the curb on the exit of Sanson. And that's him off into the pits at the end of this lap. What drama! Luckily for him, he's got a big gap. It won't be big enough to stay in the lead. Latifi will take over the race lead for now, at least. Rosenqvist will be in the pits at the end of this lap for a new front wing. He'll be on fresher tyres. We've got 7 laps to go and we're in for a brilliant finish to the flag here. Will he get out in front of Antonio Felix da Costa? I think he will. Nicholas Latifi takes over the lead of the League 1 Dijon-Bourgogne Grand Prix. Has Felix Rosenqvist got enough time to catch up to him? My answer to that will be yes. He's got enough time. He is in front of da Costa. That could have been so much worse for Topher Smith. Da Costa will stay in the fight for this because you never know what could happen. 4 seconds is the gap between Latifi and Rosenqvist, but Rosenqvist will be a much better robber. And there we see a battle for third team between the Proma and the 2 Simtex here, Najiri, Siegel and Gaidman. This is not for points. Van Dorn in the pits again with problems. There goes Gaidman on Siegel. Does she find her way through? Not quite so. But Pato Ward has hit trouble in the other Carlin. It's turning into a nightmare for Perry Brown. And it's race over for Pato Ward. That's a terrible shame. I think he was in 6th place before he picked up the issue. But it's race over for him here. Bohemi's still stuck behind Lundqvist. Bohemi is going for it now on Lundqvist on the pit straight. He's too far back, I think, to do it this time around. But needs to be careful. He's tapped the Andretti. He's punted the Andretti off the track, and that'll be a time penalty for the Swiss. 100%. That was not his corner. I think Lundqvist had the right to turn on him in because that was not Bohemi's right to take the corner as he did. Bohemi goes past, but race control have concluded that he's picked up a 10-second time penalty for the collision and gaining the place. Might even make up the 10 seconds on Lundqvist before this race is over. See Jiri, Siegel, Gaidman and possibly Palou in a fight here as Latifi is still in the lead, but Rosenqvist crosses over the line with a new fastest up of the race, a 1:21.5. He's got the gap down to 1.8 seconds. Can Latifi hold on here? Costa's dropping back from those two, and Najiri is about to be overtaken here by Nolan Siegel, and Siegel is through into 12th position. Come out of the Petit Rouge. Latifi doing his best here, but Rosenqvist is on the much better tyres, and I expect him to take back the lead of the race. Najiri not able to find a way through. Latifi and Rosenqvist come out in the last corner. Van Dorn now has the point for the fastest lap. So Carlin may be able to get a point out of this after all, even though Van Dorn is well out of the top 10. We'll see the battle for the lead here. We don't want to look at da Costa's nose cone. We want to see the battle for the lead between Latifi and Rosenqvist. Estra locking up into the Arnoux corner. Rosenqvist is within sight of Latifi here on the runway. Latifi is still firing off ahead with the straight line speed advantage. But this is where... Oh, and as Van Dorn locks up, runs wide at the Ferris flick. And thankfully, he does not spin round, which could have caused problems for Latifi and Rosenqvist, who are not far behind him. There are your top two. Latifi and Rosenqvist. Will Rosenqvist go for it here into the Goddard hairpin? We've cut away, but we want to go back to the lead between Latifi and Rosenqvist. Rosenqvist, has he been able to get up the inside into the Goddard hairpin? He hasn't quite done so. Marcello doing a good job in 5th place for Force India. This will see them leap out of the bottom 3. Rosenqvist going for it now on Latifi into the Arnoux corner, and Rosenqvist has done it! Back into the lead of the League 1 Dijon-Bourgogne Grand Prix goes the Arrows pilot of Felix Rosenqvist. A brilliant overtake. Latifi held on for as long as he could, but the Arrows driver was just too quick on the fresher rubber. Rosenqvist 3 laps away from victory here in France. And Alex Palou is out of the race in the Ram with only a few laps remaining. His teammate running up there in the points in 10th, but Palou ain't going to get anything here. Engine problem there for the Spaniard. Sebastian Buemi's gap to Lundqvist has increased to over 6 seconds. At this rate, Buemi may just hold on to 8. As it stands, Force India will leap out of the bottom 3. Prost will drop in, even though they'll be picking up points here. Seconds, 1.7 seconds off the lead. Just a couple of laps remaining. Rosenqvist just needs to make no more mistakes here. And Arrows will be coming away with under 25 points for the win. They've got the point for pole position, but not for fastest lap. That is in the hands of Stoff Van Dorn. Costa through Sanson and Cairns. Felix Rosenqvist has started the final lap of the race in the Arrows. It's been that sort of race as Buemi loses front wing, and his chance of points are well and truly gone now. It goes from bad to worse for Prost when it looked so good. Not good. Really poor from Buemi. Did exactly the same thing as what Felix Rosenqvist did. We'll go back to the race leader, Felix Rosenqvist. Who has dominated proceedings up until he wrecked his front wing when he rose over the curb at Sanson. Dropped to 2nd place, but gained it back on the fresher rubber, and Latifi just didn't quite have the response to that. But it's big points for BAR, move them further away from the drop zone. But Felix Rosenqvist has got one more corner to get through after Goddard, and victory will be in sight for the man from Sweden. Felix Rosenqvist heads out of the last right-hander. Felix Rosenqvist wins the League One Dijon-Bourgogne Grand Prix. Arrows are back on top here in France. Nicolas Latifi, second place for BAR. A big result for them in their battle to beat the drop. And it's returned to the podium for Antonio Felix da Costa in third place, ahead of Christopher Bell. Rafael Marcello gets some big points for Force India in fifth place, just ahead of Kevin Estre. Pascal Wehrlein 7th. Linus Lundqvist got ahead of Sebastian Buemi on the last lap. Buemi continued on without the front wing, but I don't think he's done enough to keep hold of ninth position because of his time penalty. He may even fall out of the points. Will the Swiss? Lundqvist 8th. Buemi will drop out of the points. With Fraga and Hirakawa nose to tail, Buemi drops to P11. So no points for Prost after today's race. Nolan Siegel 12th. Nina Gaiman in 13th. Tomi Kinijiri on fire in 14th in the Prima. Gets over the line in time. Lopez will drop back to 16th place with Van Dorn getting over the line. It's a win for Felix Rosenqvist for Arrows at Dijon-Bourgogne in France. Arrows are jubilant. Nicolas Latifi second for BAR, ahead of Antonio Felix da Costa. Christopher Bell in fourth place for HRC, followed by Rafael Marcello, who gets some good points for Force India. They are out of the bottom three after today's race. Kevin Estre is 6th, ahead of Pascal Wehrlein. Then it's Linus Lundqvist, Igor Fraga, and Rio Hirakawa picking up the last point for Minardi. Both Minardis inside the points. Sebastian Buemi drops to 11th for his time penalty. Nolan Siegel 12 had a Nina Gaidman. Tomi Kinijiri in 14th place had a Stoffel Van Dorn, with Jose Maria Lopez dropping down to 16th place with his time penalty. Oliver Oland 17th, and the last of those to take the checker flag. Alex Palou retiring just before the end. We've lost Padua Award, Scott McLaughlin, who crashed out, along with Scott Dixon, his first retirement of the campaign, along with Robin Frines, Matthew Regunathan, Kevin Estre, and Jean-Luc Verne also retired. Jake Dennis disqualified and also retiring after he took out Jean-Luc Verne in the early stages. Pole position went to Felix Rosenqvist, the fast lap going to Stoffel Van Dorn. That win for Felix Rosenqvist moves up to second place in the championship behind Scott Dixon. The gap down to 6 points after today's race. It's game on in the championship, both in the drivers and in the team's championship. Onyx stay in the lead, but their lead has been reduced. Force India's points, thanks to Rafael Marcello, moves them out of the bottom three, leaving Prost, Prima and Simtek with work to do. The upgraders window for all the team managers to decide where their budgets are going to go towards. Is it going to be engine power? Is it going to be downforce? Or is it going to be reliability? We'll leave that for them to decide. It's time to run down on the League One Drivers and Teams Championships in the voice of Topher Smith. And we'll be back for the next round in Jerez in a couple of weeks' time. Topher, over to you.
So a second win of the season for Felix Rosenqvist. Only the second driver across both divisions to win multiple races so far this season. Still plenty more opportunities to come though in the remainder of the season. But what has today done to the drivers and team standings? Let's have a look. And Scott Dixon, even though he did not score today, his first retirement of the season, he still holds on to the lead of the championship. 78 points for the Kiwi, ahead of Felix Rosenqvist, who is up to second on 72 points. Kevin Magnussen third on 59, ahead of Scott McLaughlin on 51. Kevin Estre puts both Onyxes into the top 5 on 45 points, ahead of Antonio Felix da Costa on 43, Christopher Bell on 42, Robin Frines on 34, Nicolas Latifi, his podium today puts him into the top 10 on 26, and Pascal Wehrlein on 22 points. In the teams, Onyx still leads the way on 123 points, while Arrows moves up into second on 106, 4 ahead of Fomital on 102. HRT on 93 in fourth place, ahead of Minardi on 38, Ram on 34, Andretti on 31, BAR on 27, Carlin on 21, and Force India out of the relegation zone with their points finished today. They are now on 18 points. Now dropping into the relegation zone, Prost on 9, Prema Racing on 8, and Simtek on 8. They will have a lot more races to score some points though this season. Well, it's been another entertaining day in the Grand Prix World Series. 2 fantastic races here in Dijon-Bourgogne. And we now have the second upgrade window of the season, where team managers can improve their cars by spending their prize money on engine power, reliability, or downforce efficiency. We will see how those changes affect the pecking order when we come to the next round in Jerez. Until then, thank you so much for tuning in. It's always a pleasure to have your company. I am Topher Smith. Take care.